I just got off a call with my Dating Mastery group coaching program, and we had a fascinating discussion. I wanted to just share it with the broader group because this definitely impacts everybody. And what we were talking about is communication in dating and how we often ask questions and make assumptions and judgments based on the answers to those questions. So the discussion actually started by one of the members of the group said a family member was judging the person that she had met as not being meeting the expectations, having the right kind of job, or having the right kind of upbringing. And we discussed, how do you answer those types of questions? And one of the things was to come back to your values, right? When you're getting into a new relationship, compatibility is based on having similar life values. And then it led into discussion, well, how do we understand if somebody really shares our similar life values? And so we had a discussion about this book. I recommend it to everybody if you haven't read it, the 8 Dates book by John Gottman. It's a fantastic book. This will take you through 8 key life value areas and will give you some really good questions to ask to determine if you share the same values in those areas with the person you're dating. And then the next thing we talked about is the 3 levels of communication and how we tend to talk to other people. And so the first level of communication is what we call general personality traits. These are the sort of typical questions we're asking somebody that we've just met. Where were you born? What do you do for work? Where do you live? Do you have children? Those kinds of things. What we put into the general personality traits are what we call the big 5 spectrum. These are, how open is the person? Like, are they willing to share with you? Are they very closed off? How conscientious are they? Are they trying to, follow certain societal rules? They'll share things like that. Are they extroverted, introverted? How agreeable are they? When you're having a conversation with a stranger, do they start to, challenge you, or are they very agreeable? And how do they manage their emotions? Do they get excited during the discussion, or do they feel, that you've offended them or something? So that's kind of the first level, the general personality traits. Then as we get to know somebody more over time, we naturally get more into what we call their personal concerns. So these are the decisions they make in life, how they have opinions, what their goals are, their values and motivations. And this naturally happens over time as we start to ask deeper levels of questions. And the third level is what we call the self-narrative. This is the most intimate, vulnerable type of question to ask somebody, but this only happens when we're actually conscious and specifically ask these types of questions. And that's where the book, The 8 Dates, can really help. And as well, I also recommend the 36 questions to fall in love, and I'll put the link below this video. Why these types of questions are really important. The self-narrative is what somebody actually thinks about themselves. So when you start to ask deeper questions, you'll get a much deeper and more colorful picture of somebody. So if you ask them, what did you want to be when you grew up? And they tell you they wanted to be an astronaut. And then you ask them, well, why didn't you do that? They'll tell you what they think about themselves. Well, I didn't think I was smart enough, or maybe, I tried, but I didn't have the money, and so I gave up. Or maybe, they'll tell you a different story. And so those types of questions when you're dating can give you so much insight into who the person is, what's important to them, what they think about themselves. And that's where we get to this level of what everyone says that they're looking for, is this deep connection. It's really sharing this personal information with another person that you just don't naturally do in your day-to-day conversation. I hope that was helpful for you. If you haven't already got it, I recommend getting a copy of this book. I do recommend getting a hard copy because there's checklists in here and you can actually work through the workbook directly. Of course, if you're not able to get it delivered, get a Kindle version and certainly work through that. And then I'll put the link to the 36 questions for you in the comments.